That's what we're committed to, that's what we're up to, and that's what you can count on us for delivering in each and every one of our television shows, our seminars and workshops, and of course in all of our books and CDs and DVDs. The goal, the aim, if you will, is to deliver materials that will be tools for you to adapt into your own life and to use as you will to improve the quality of your life and your relationships, not only for yourself, but for all of the people whose lives you touch and for your children and your children's children, such that future generations will be able to be born into and experience a natural state. And we assert at Embrace Growth that a natural state is a state of being loved and of loving, of being joyous, being fully self-expressed, and of sharing your life, your energy, your resources, and your time with people that are an expression, a natural self-expression of your love and generosity. We believe that that's the truest nature of human beings. And then, of course, we have another nature, which we call the animal nature, or I call it the animal nature, human animal. As human beings, we have compulsive, survival-oriented, and very primal instincts that are based on a very old model of thinking, which is that there is a scarcity of resources, and that in fact this old model teaches us that that the universe is not a friendly place, and that it's dangerous out there, and that you have to protect yourself, and that there's not enough for everyone, and so you have to get some food, get some shelter, get some love, get some sex, get some money, get something, some sort of resources in order to secure yourself, in order to feel better about yourself, and then and only then, perhaps, maybe, you could experience being loved and feeling love for another human being. Well, I'm here to tell you on Love Talk that nothing could be further from the truth. That is about as far from the truth as you're ever going to get. And that is that other people are the source of love. It's just not true. You're the source of love. You're the source of the love in your own life. And your experience of being loved, you also are 100% responsible for that experience. Where's that experience happening? It's happening over where you are, over in where you're sitting, in the chair where you're sitting. Your experience of being loved is happening over there. So who's responsible for that could only be you. My experience of my well-being, my experience of being loved is happening over here with me. So nobody else can be responsible for that experience. Only I can be responsible for my feelings. Likewise, my experience of loving others, your experience of loving others and being loved by others rests solely with yourself. So that now that may seem like a burden or a responsibility, like oh no, for a lot of people, because those people may be committed to the idea that you are a victim in life, that life is happening to you, and that you are powerless, and that you have nothing to say about how you feel and how other people feel about you. And I always say, how other people feel about me is none of my business. That's their business. How people feel about me is their business. Now, do I have a preference? Yeah, I prefer to be loved. I prefer to be liked as opposed to disliked. However, it's none of my business how people feel about me. What's my business and what I'm 100% responsible for is how I feel about myself and how I feel about other people. All of that I do actually have something to say about. I have some say-so, in other words, about how I feel about others and how I feel about myself. And so I can let that responsibility be my guide in how I respond to things rather than react. You know, most people are reacting to outside stimuli all the time, meaning act, reaction, act, reaction. That's automatic. It takes no responsibility to react. It takes no awareness to react. It takes no consciousness to react. It's an automatic stimulus response reactivation of a fear process. So reaction is always fear-based. It's always protection and survival-based, whereas responsibility actually takes awareness. It actually takes becoming conscious and cognizant of yourself, of your relationship with others, and your place with the universe, your place with life itself. That with awareness comes responsibility. To be aware means to shine the light of your consciousness into the dark areas where you may have been previously unconscious, to bring the light of your awareness to your unconsciousness, to the darkness, so to speak, and to enlighten that area so that once something arises, once something that has always been unconscious rises to the light of your consciousness, that brings with it that awareness, that brings with it a certain responsibility. In other words, it brings with it the ability to respond rather than react out of fear. You actually have a choice now, and you can choose to see whether those behaviors that you've used in the past or those behaviors that you have habitually reacted with, to see whether that best serves you, whether that's serving you in your situation right now in this moment. And nowhere is that more important than in our relationships, our love relationships. Now you have a relationship, it could be said that you have a relationship with virtually everybody on the planet. You actually do have a relationship with all other human beings and plants and animals. However, you know, that's a very broad conversation, and I don't know that other than to point that out and have you become consciously aware that you actually already are related to other human beings by virtue of being a human being, by virtue of having the same trials and challenges and worries and automatic ways of being and responding as pretty much everybody else on the planet. Obviously, there are many exceptions. There are people with extreme abilities in terms of their ability to respond, and then there are people who have hardly any ability to respond. They're so unconscious and so unaware, and it's such a basic survival status in life that that's all they've got is their reactions. You know, it's pretty hard to have a conversation about enlightenment and awareness and responsibility with somebody who's worried about, who's concerned about where are they going to get their next meal, where are they going to sleep tonight, how are they going to protect their body and keep it alive from the elements. That's not appropriate to have a conversation about enlightenment and awareness with a person in that status in life. What's appropriate is to empower them to find the resources to do that. So we're not going to talk about that because the people who are watching this show, the people who are watching this video, that is not your concern, or you wouldn't be watching this. You would be out trying to find some food right now, or worried about where you were going to sleep tonight or protect your body from the cold. So it's a foregone conclusion that if we're going to have a conversation in this arena, in this context, a televised broadcast, then we're having a conversation with people who have the ability to be responsible, who have the ability to be able to respond. So we're going to talk about responsibility and commitment and those types of qualities that are absolutely necessary in order to have a loving, lasting, empowering, and fulfilling relationship in life. So Love Talk's going to be about that. We're going to talk about those aspects of your personality, your abilities, when we come back from the break. Before we go on the break, I want to sort of set you up to have an inquiry into your own life, and to begin to ask yourself, where is it in your life that you are being a victim of life? Where is it in your life where you have placed your beliefs and your ability to respond in a power outside yourself? Whether that be in your relationships with other human beings, could be with your parents, for example. Many people do not outgrow their very first relationship, which is their relationship with their parents. In your relationship with your parents, when you're a very small child, they are responsible. Your ability to respond to situations is very, very limited. You don't have the intellect, you don't have the central nervous system, you don't have the physical abilities, you simply do not have the talents and ability to respond to life situations. Therefore, all you have is your reactions, your survival reactions. And your parents are responsible. They're able to respond, and therefore they're in a protective mode. So we have this relationship with our parents like, I'm not able, but you are, which is appropriate when you're a child. Now, people grow up, they become adolescents, and they still keep this relationship, and very often the parents will keep that relationship with the child. Like, you're not able to respond, but I am. So it is the relationship of a superior towards an inferior. You're inferior, therefore I must make decisions for you. That may be appropriate for a certain period of time in your life, but there's a time in your life when it's time to outgrow that, to grow beyond that, and actually separate oneself from the parents in a way that is obviously loving and respectful, and yet which maintains a boundary that says, now I thank you for teaching me, thank you for giving me everything, for giving me my life, for feeding me, for cleaning up after me, for showing me the way, for protecting me from the elements and from life itself, and thank you for showing me how to make my own choices and decisions in life. Thank you for teaching me what's right and what's wrong. Now I will start to do that for myself, and if I need your advice, I will ask for it. Please don't give it to me unless I ask for it. That's part of becoming an adult and taking your life into your own hands and becoming responsible for your own life. And until you have done that, until you have taken that power back from your parents, and until your parents have willingly and lovingly given you that power, in other words, saying, you know, from the parents' point of view, it'd be like, I've given you everything I got, everything I know to give you. I'm counting on you to take the lessons that I've taught you in life and to do your best with them. I release you. You are no longer my child, but you are my loved and respected adult progeny, if you will, offspring. And I'm here. If you want my advice and need my advice, please ask me. I'll be happy to help. So there's a separation of two adults in which, you know, it's very difficult. It's difficult for a lot of parents to release their children out into the world, but without having done that, your children have very little chance of taking on the very next thing that I'll be talking about after the break, which is living a responsible, enlightened, fulfilling, romantic relationship with somebody of the opposite sex. To have a fulfilling, loving, powerful relationship, and that leads to a lifetime of unfolding, a lifetime of awakening, a lifetime of going deeper than you could ever go by yourself, as a man or as a woman, a lifetime of exchanging wonderful, beautiful, insightful awakenings and insights with somebody of the opposite sex, and sharing an environment that engenders and empowers other human beings, so that your relationship not only empowers you, not only empowers the person that you're in a relationship with, but becomes a source of inspiration, a source of wisdom, a source of introspection and self-development and growth for other human beings. Usually those other human beings are your children, but they could be any other human beings that are in connection with you and your partner, because your partnership is no longer about how do I get something from my partner, how do I get enough love or enough respect or enough sex or enough admiration or enough caring from them. It's no longer about that, because there's more than enough, and because you're empowering each other all the time. Instead, it becomes about how can our relationship make a difference in the world.